This is how it ends.
Though I had known my death casted a shadow upon my life for many years when I entered the realm of villainy. I knew by the terror I've caused on others, and the spread of poison I gave to others just to fill my satchels with their riches. So I could live as a king in the kingdom of vipers and foxes. Though I may not carry the features of a viper nor a fox, for they can be sneaky creatures who strike when you least expect it. They gaze at the world from those who see, but yet do not gaze at the fact they stand in plain sight of the beholder, for that makes them dangerous, hiding from their prey. To not be seen in the shadows of our world, which is darker than most see it from the distance, and yet I am none of those creatures who engage under the darkness. No. I am far worse than a viper or a fox. Human. Human. Greedy, manipulative, explosive, and most of all violent. Violence is what I fight most of all in this world. The art of war that flows through my veins, the true nature of my reign as king of villainy. The Blood King was the crown I wore, not for the demand of respect or cherishing from others, no. Raging war on both the guilty and most of all, the innocent. I, the innocent try to seek out the good of those who have done bad, show them the way of an honorable life that has been bestowed upon them, with that life that has been given to them, for that I say nay to that so-called life. Say to hell with those who try to seek the goodness of others that are damned, knowing that true evil exists and it will never die. Say watch the world burn from the inside and out. Have the world become an ocean of blood, that was my true dream. To be soaked in the smell of chaos and embrace my berserker mentality. Berserker mentality. That was my downfall. My generals and those who try to go against my villainy will say it was my greed that brought me my downfall. The gold I surrounded myself with, or the amounts of poison I wanted to bring forth to those who wanted to fill the escape of reality, to which I say nay to that so-called humanity. Care not for the others, and for that I say I am death's deliverer, or even death himself. And many of these souls I have taken in this world, I am death. And I'll leave this world as I left it. In ruins. At least the sun's out.
The sun shines on us all. Yet we don't deserve to be this lucky on this day of saints and sinners. Well, mostly sinners. But whom are we to judge? By which they give us most entertaining of death, destruction, and above all else, madness. Madness is what drives us to give things actual meaning in this world. From claiming to be a god, a king, an immortal, or even death. Let us thrive on thought with those four I announced from my breath. God or gods, powerful and above any living thing that walks, talks, and kills in this world of dust and grass. Now what would a god care for such a thing, or doth he care at all? I wonder, with all that power he holds under his skin, and the unimaginable imagination he can conjure up with a snap at the edge of his fingertips. Who could go against such a thing, one can say? Not beast or faithful, but one who wants to accomplish the impossible. Hold your heart and mind when I tell you it was not a human who offended the gods, but gods themselves. Gods with the same blood and father. Brothers of Asgard, nonetheless. Magni and Modi, the seeds of Thor and the grandchildren of the All-Father Odin. Now, Gods are strange beings. Since the beginning, how they came to power is just as old of a story of anyone gaining power in their court and their ambition. Blood. There is nothing richer than that. Is it not? For blood does belong to your enemies, and those with the same ambition as you do. With that knowledge, how far would you go that your ambition does not remain a dream, but a reality? For you see, Magni and Modi had an ambition. Do you know what that ambition was? Asgard. Asgard. There was nothing more sweet than that. So one night in the halls of Valhalla, all the warriors sitting there, eating and feasting, Odin at the head of the table and Thor flirting away with some shield maiden. Magni and Modi sitting there with a look of blood on their minds. Who and many wouldn't even put to thought, but on that day the thought had come to pass. The brothers drew their weapons and struck the All-Father and his son. The leaders of Asgard were given the eternal sleep. Not Ragnarok as it was foretold, but the sons of Asgard. Their raid lasted for 811 years, and they too were given the eternal sleep. This time, not by a god, but a mortal. A mortal that was given godly powers that were older than the boys. A Greek god by the name of Hades, whose power was passed down from generation to generation. And with that power, created a berserker, a god killer more dangerous than anything. And this berserker was created by the evil of man. They used that power to slay those who decided to use this world as its own personal battlefield. And within that battlefield, the brothers met their end. Do you see the meaning of which I had told you that story?
Those with ambition to gain more will soon meet their end by those who have no ambition. But violence from evil, without care caution, destroys evil. Destroying evil with evil. What is evil after all? Misunderstanding. A soul that doesn't fit in this world. A soul that has the urge to disagree with the world. Or is it by default that good creates evil only because it thinks it's better than it? The story you told has none of those things. Well, it truly had, but those who wanted to do whatever they wanted. They didn't care who was in the way of it. You deem them evil, but I deem them neither. You speak only of what they have done to others, but do not speak upon the actions that led to those decisions. To deem themselves evil in the first place. Yet again, that wasn't a true answer to that story. The true answer was, either be a god or a human, the reign will end. It will end at a point in which death deems it to be enough. Everything has an end, even for a god.
Did you deem yourself a god at a point of your reign as king of villainy?
Nay, I was never that ambitious.
But your ambitions led you to this day, the final moments you have left. On this day, and yet you have not argued that you were good or even flattered on being evil. Tell me, what led to the decision on acceptance of being evil? Was it because good made you this way? Was it because you didn't fit in this world? Or was it because you wanted to see the world burn where it stood?
Seems like you ventured in my mind of a past I've not thought of over in years. I'm you itself, not the evil people claim to be, but the evil you can't hide from. Destruction in human form. Caused not by choice, but by birth. Who do you know such things? Who do you know that can say that they will not hide the evil they had withheld from men? The brothers of Asgard were never evil but gods. Gods can be neither good nor evil. They're above such things. I never prayed or denied its existence. And I do not deny my end, but I do not wish to know what awaits me. Men and women have tried to be on a path of salvation, but not me. I'd rather do what I have done without knowing than to do of knowing what awaits me. This is what I crave most of all in this world. Tell me another story.
Sun is up.
I fear that my pain is too great to bear.
Try it. Kings. I will tell you the definition. The male ruler of an independent state, especially one who inherits the position by right of birth. Right of birth. Who really has the right to rule once the seed starts to grow in the belly of a mother? The seed of a king making a ruler. What makes a king a king? Is it his virtues of wisdom? His kindness amongst his ruled? Or his dominance to commit cruelty to rule? Why not all the above? Don't those three make a king? With the wisdom of life lessons, losses, and experiences within that mind of his? The kindness to make a kingdom flourish, to be loved and to love all the same. And my favorite, cruelty. There is nothing more sweeter than a king with cruelty. A king must hide that part until he is forced to become what he hates the most, himself. Do not dwell on what I've told you with wisdom, lessons, and experiences, or even the softness of what was foretold what makes a king a king. Set your ears on the cruelty by which is used, not by enforcement, but by entitlement. Entitlement of owning slaves, the pharaohs of Egypt and the Hebrews. Slaves, kings, both born into destiny. Pharaohs built and conquered for thousands of years.
Built is a deception on their character. It was the blood, sweat, and tears of slaves that built Egypt. All the pharaohs did was fatten themselves up with wine and meat under their scalps. Conquering was true to their character. Within that conquering, they took what they deemed was a trophy. In their conquest, humans were their trophies. But how you introduce the tale of this cruelty, this pharaoh ends on a tune that doesn't have a happy ending. And yet, draws attention to my character. And by that quote, I overstep my analogy upon a lesson I have to learn. 1,000 apologies.
Fear not. I have discovered that there is no fool in you. But I ponder on the question in my head. Does one fool know the lesson of knowledge that was bestowed? Let me dive into your thoughts on this. The thoughts of a king.
Funny. Seems like this journey has met its end before I did. King. A burden and an image. To balance between life and death. Life can begin and end. Then blink. It can be cut by those who are close to you or from far away. The king has the unrest of looking over his shoulders, accepting a life of image and rule. A rule that can be immortal, and that is when death has no power over. Funny, I believe we reached our last 2 lessons. No?
Yes. We have reached the end of our journey together. Shall we continue on with those lessons?
Please.
Immortality and death. Immortality conducts one exact meaning. Living forever, both amongst the living and also in death. Making a mark just by doing something meaningful or something harmful. Either way, just by doing both, you live forever. Just by the whispers and stories of the life and death of one who hath committed those acts. Acts that will never be forgotten. And trust me, when I speak from all seeing eyes, you will never be forgotten, both in life and by me. Your brutal mind and actions have made a mark on us all. criminal mind is the most intriguing, especially the acts that are performed by the criminal. Death will never take that away from you. And in the end, you can only blame yourself on how you ended up here. For death 'tis but a guide to the next journey ahead. Can't tell you on where you'll be going, but he can tell you where you take your first step. That is what death really is. My friend, until the end.
Right until the end. I like that.
In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least it is true that man has no control, even over his own will.